Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Hummel, the Tier 6 German SPG. It's located on the northeast spawn of Glacier and it's under the command of Talon 1958. And he's got the stock gun. How do I know it's the stock gun? Well, it's the short barrel one and it's basically the top gun on the Gorilla. So it's got a very high trajectory, which means it's very accurate but has a short range. Now he's taking it off into the trees, which is something I did in one of my videos, one of my replays a short while ago. This is quite a good position, although it's fairly exposed if the enemy does get close. But it's a good position because it means you can get good shots on the gate going up to the carrier. That round just a little too late. But the Cromwell is taking fire, so if he stays up there, Talon might get another chance to have a go at him. In fact, he is already well into his reload. And it looks like the next target's going to be a Strip 74, which is basically a Strip 42 with a different turret. Rounds out. Oh! He pulled back and then he went forward again. And looks like he got hit by the splash. So 219 hit points of damage so far on the board. Now, Talon's known for being incredibly accurate with his shots. Fires around at the T-34. It was right on the aim point, but the T-34-85M pulled back just in time to avoid any major damage. Now we've got a Aslains C. Now, that's a fairly good medium, but they're fairly weak on their armour. But instead, Talon's going to go for the Strip 74, who's fairly well weak on hit points, so a splash might be able to take him out of the game. He lines it up, waits for him to stop moving, fires the round in, and unfortunately no damage on that one. Up on the perimeter road, yep, a Super Hellcat on the enemy team's been spotted. It's Tier 7 American premium turreted tank destroyer. They're quite good, those Super Hellcats. I've had a bit of fun in them. He's gone back to that Cromwell. He can't... Oh, there he can. He can see him now. It's a Cromwell B, which is the premium British medium. Fires a round in at the spot where the Cromwell was seen. But again, he's going straight back to that Super Hellcat. Can't get a shot there. And the Aslains C is still in the centre. Looking for a target over on the northwest corner. Now he might be able to get around on that KV-2R. He fires around in and, well, it landed where the KV-2R was last seen, but it didn't kill him. Now that Cromwell B is on his last legs actually. He's only got a few hit points remaining. A near miss should be enough to take him out. He fires a snapshot in on this occasion. Unfortunately, it doesn't do any good. He really would like to get that kill. Oh, we just saw an IS-3 killed by the T-32. Was it? No, it's the Challenger actually got him in the end. It's the Challenger just around the corner there. That's a fairly lightly armoured turreted tank destroyer. Talon's zooming about the battlefield. He's finding it difficult to find a target that he wants to go for. That Aslains C's off somewhere with a hurry, and the Challenger has come around the corner. Suddenly his sixth sense must have gone off because he stopped and pulled back, and he fires around in. Talon, direct hit, beautiful one, 239. Now the output from this 15cm howitzer is 540, penetrating 38mm of armour. I'm surprised that wasn't a penetrating shot, but it probably hit the frontal armour of the vehicle. Burst radius of 7 meters. We know the Challenger's there, and he killed him. That one hit the right at the rear of the vehicle, so he must have got a penetrator off that one. No doubt about it. Now, I didn't mention at the start of this video, but it's a 3 replay video, all featuring the Hummel. 1 replay by Talon and 2 by Vava das Artillerias. I think I've pronounced his name correctly, but if I haven't, then he'll probably correct me. T32 is now sitting there camping on that spot, and that's just going to invite Talon to hit him all the harder. The first round lands alongside him, tracks him, and he's now picking up damage, so he's getting stun assist as well. T32 can't stay there. If he does, Talon will have all of his hit points. Rounds out. Another round, and this time round it did hit the side of the vehicle. Now Talon's keeping a close eye on what's going on around the perimeter road as well, because there's an E25 round there. The Super Hellcat was taken out, so he doesn't have to worry about that one, but the E25 could be a bigger problem. Okay, lining up a shot. T32 could die on this shot if he gets hit. Oh, it did hit him, but it didn't kill him because it hit the mantlet. You can see that the hole, the spot where the shell went in, right on the mantlet. So he was lucky to survive. In fact, it looks like the shell actually hit the gun, not the mantlet. So he was lucky to survive that shot, but will he survive this one? I don't know. No, the shell went long. Over on the centre of the map, we've now got a Scorpion G who extended himself too far over the centre line. He's been tracked. Talon's almost loaded, and it looks like that guy's still going to be here when Talon fires. Rounds out. It hit him, and the kill shot went to a Strip 74, who luckily fired in a blind shot just at the moment after Talon's shell landed and stripped away most of the remaining hit points. So he's definitely got a blind hit and on a tier 8 turreted tank destroyer, which means that he's going to have a lot more XP. Okay, these tanks on the perimeter road, they're getting closer and closer to Talon, but there's not a lot he can do at the moment. There's that Lanson C, the one that was in the centre line. Moved over to this area to help out. We've got a Striv S1 with only one hit point left, and he dies to a shot from the Lanson, who's now trying to crawl up onto the perimeter road, but he had a bit of difficulty with that because the T20 is trying to stop him. Talon would love to get around in on that, but this particular firing position is a kind of obstructed into firing into that particular spot. That's the unfortunate side of that spot. Not great for firing into that corner, but it is good for firing into this corner. But we just lost sight of that T32, and we just don't know where he is. Nobody's spotting that area. There's the enemy KV2. Okay, well, Talon can hit that guy. Rounds out. Direct hit on his front for 218. Non-penetrating shot, but it hit the frontal plate. You can see the yellow stain where the shell landed. You still can't see that T32. Looks like the enemy Lanson C is trying to outflank our teammates down to the south, but Talon's still having a look to see if he can find that KV1. He's only got 11 rounds left, so he does need to be careful that he makes good use of his shells. Okay, T25AT rather, which is an American tank destroyer, hits the side of him and tracks him for 190. Okay, the KV2R is now making his way across the lake towards us. Talon's trying to lead the target, waiting for his reload to go in. Oh, he's got an obstruction now, but before he can shoot, the Hellcat gets the kill. Okay, the E25 that was up on the perimeter road has now changed position. He's gone to the centre. Talon's styling him, but he can't get a shot out in time. He fires one over the rock instead. So he's only got 9 rounds left now. 4 enemy tanks still out there. One of those is an Arty, so there's only 3 threatening the cap area. And the T32's got very, very close. You can see that the shell is probably going to impact on the snow just ahead of the ridgeline. So he's trying to find a solution that enables the shell to hit the target instead. Okay, extends the aim onto the target. Oh, beautiful! Right in the kisser. Took that straight in the face and wiped him out. So that's the second kill now for Talon. And that means now there's only 3 enemies remaining. The T25AT, the E25, and finally their Arty, which is also a Hummel. Talon's lining up a shot on the T25. He gets a splash. And he reduces the hit points. And the guy's now a splash kill. And he's out the game, which means now there's only 2 left. And of course, it's that E25 and the Hummel. The E25 is a fairly good play. He's got 2 kills already. But we've only got 3 players left now as well, because we just lost our Jagdpanzer 4. There's the E25. We're dialing in. Oh, and he just killed our T20. But can Talon get the kill on him? Rounds out. Just a little too late. Okay, now Talon's going to have to move. He needs to get closer to the target. The E25 is somewhere over the other side, but he can't get good shots on him from his current position. Too far away. The short range of the Gorilla Gun is actually quite annoying sometimes, but it is so incredibly accurate. And also, it does have that very high arc of fire, which means that if a target's trying to hide behind a rock, it makes it much easier to hit. But well, it also has a faster reload as well, I should say that, but the only problem is, of course, you have to get closer to the target than you would actually like on some occasions. Well, he's now going to go round the perimeter road. Now, he probably doesn't want to cap, because if he does, the E25 will have him. The strip's going around the edge of the ice at the moment. You can see, and he's very low on hit points, and that's also a major problem, because the E25 could hit him from ambush, and if he does take him out, then that's just going to leave Talon as the last remaining player on their team. Keeping an eye on the Striv as he's making his way around that area towards the enemy cap. I don't think he should cap, but I have the sneaking suspicion that he probably will try to. Either that, or he'll try to take out the enemy Hummel. Again, Talon's making his way around the edge. This is where it's vitally important. Oh, he's found the E25! Oh, and no, he stopped to aim. Oh, he tries a snapshot on the guy. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, but the Striv is now engaging with the E25. They both got the ability to one shot. Oh, the E25's gone! The Striv 74 killed him, which means now it's up to Talon and the Striv to find the last enemy, the Hummel, and take him out. And if they can't find him, just a cap. But it looks like they've done it. That E25 could have won the game if he just sat in ambush and waited for the Striv and Talon to turn up and start capping. And then he could have surprised them and taken them out of the game very, very quickly, because the 75mm gun on the E25 is notoriously accurate, very fast firing. And it looks like the Hummel isn't where we expect him to be, so it looks like Talon is going to start capping. Now, in circumstances like this, I do not advise going close to the rock, because this is where I would actually aim my shell, in this corner. Because either at the back of the map, or back of the cap area, or in the corner of the cap area is precisely where most people try to cap. You don't want to get seen, but obviously the Hummel does have a very short view range, so the idea actually is to park out in the open, because it means the enemy Hummel has to be out in the open to find you and shoot at you. Now it looks like the Striv is trying to fire at the camp to knock it down, to make the Hummel think that that's where he is. So he's partially knocked down the camp. But I wouldn't sit here in this corner. They've only got 10 seconds left before the end of the game anyway, so they need to camp out. And they've done it. So the game ends, and oh, that's the enemy, Arty. The game ends when the clock ran out just at that moment, but they'd already completed the cap. So it was a very last minute thing. And that's the end of the first battle. So we ended on a victory for Talon in the first one. Let's have a look at the second battle and see how that went on. And here's the second battle, and it's Vava does SPG, not the gentleman that I was saying originally, but yes, it's the same person. And he's in the Hummel with the short barrel, yes, and you can see there's 2 marks of excellence on his barrel already. Now, Fjords, South Spawn. It's a little difficult to play this map with artillery, mainly because the hill gets in the way like crazy right down the centre of the map, and also over the other side, which means that it's very difficult to hit enemy tanks. But you can see that Vava does SPG, who's actually in platoon with a couple of his teammates, over 16-9 and Bot Supreme, and he fires a blind shot into those trees as they keep getting knocked down. Somebody's knocking them down. And from this position, he actually does have good shots, not just into the western pass, but also into the heavy tank alley down this end. And, well, that enemy VK2801 made his way through the pass, came back out the other side because he suddenly saw a T29 and an Object 244 coming towards him. And he didn't want to stick around, because if he did, he was probably going to get wiped out with a couple of shots. He's still there though, and yes, he has been wiped out by the T29. Well, that kind of indicates that either the enemy are having trouble trying to get their heavy tanks down that corner, or they were a little late knocking down trees, and suddenly they've turned up. The scout got there too early, and he didn't have any support. Round out on the T29. Only a bit of splash because he pulled forward just in time to avoid it. The problem with going waterside like that, right up to the edge, is that it makes it much easier for Vava to fire rounds in at him using the stock gun on the Gorilla, which has got a very high trajectory, which means he can shoot over these rocks. He fires one ahead at the T29, gets a... well, it looks like it was fairly close to a direct hit. 540 alpha on these shells. They load faster. They actually, you have more of them if you use the stock gun than if you use the standard gun, but you've got a lower range. Well, that one splashed the IS-2 shielded, but there was another tank right next door to him, and I suspect that guy probably took damage as well. And it looks like their 40 TP is blocking their IS-2 shielded from pulling back, and that's not going to engender him to the IS-2. And he gets a nice little hit on the 40 TP. Now, if he can block that 40 TP in place, then that IS-2 shielded is going to get absolutely furious with him. Not that it would actually be his fault that he got tracked right behind the guy, but he's pulled back now, so I think he realizes he was causing a problem. And a nice hit on the IS-2 shielded, this time for 114. He's not getting big hits, but he is causing damage. And now we got a T-3485 doing exactly the same as the 40 TP was doing, and blocking that IS-2 shielded from pulling back. Although this time round he's pulled over to one side. There goes around on the IS-2 shielded. Direct hit! Big hit this time, 209, and that means that guy's a one-shot. And he's decided to pull back as quickly as he can because he can't really take part in the battle anymore without being wiped out. 40 TP's next. You noticed how Vava is tracking their movement, working out where they're going to be. Oh! He splash killed the 40 TP, who obviously took a big hit from somebody else just before Vava fired his shot in. Oh, somebody's pushing a wreck. You can see the wreck symbol for one of those tank destroyers being pushed along. He fires around in T-34-85, collects another 154. He's just under 1,000 hit points of damage. Well, the enemy just lost their IS-2 shielded because he didn't pull away altogether. He stuck around, and as a consequence, he's now in a lot of trouble. Vava's going to change his position because he can't really get good shots on some of the other enemy tanks, and well, there's a couple over there, a CS-44 and I think it was a Jagdpanther as well. Oh, now he's decided to go after this VK3002M because that's the last guy holding up his teammates from coming out of the Eastern Pass. They're flooding into the enemy area now, and that means that the game is almost nearing its end point. It's got a red line there, which means there's something obstructing, probably that hill. He's just waiting for the last few shells to go in. He's going to lob a shell at the Jagdpanther, who just gets out of the way in time but does get stunned. Now Vava is moving around. He's actually moving backwards at this moment, trying to extend the range so he can get the shot over the top of these hills. Now might be able to get a shot into the rear of that CS-44. Rounds out. Yes, nice one. 199. Just keep those shells pumping into the enemy. Eventually they do have a massive effect. I know that that's one of the things I enjoy about playing artillery, is that you just, by pecking away at these enemies, you have a really big effect in the end, and you help your teammates win.
That was close.
And that CS-44 has gone down. You can see how far that Vava moved back towards his own cap area whilst he was trying to lob shots at the enemy. But now he's looking for the enemy Arty, and there's two of them. Now, they think that he's in A3 and in B1. He's going to fire a blind shot in behind the rock. It does knock the tree down, but when the tree's knocked down, it's more than likely because he's not there. In fact, we now know where he is because he has been spotted, and he didn't last very long. And that kind of indicates that the other one... Oh, there he is. He's been... Oh, it's not the Arty. It's a VK3002M. It looks like he's trying to commit suicide by diving into the water. And, well, very bad sportsmanship from that guy because he has decided to kill himself rather than die in battle. Yeah, very bad thing. And it's also bad for the game to have people who die that way, because it not only denies the full amount of hit points for the winning team, but it's also just bad sportsmanship, because you should go ahead and try and get as many hit points off the enemy as you can. And that means even if you have to ram the enemy because you can't reload in time, but you should go down fighting. So that's the end of the second battle, and it's another victory. So let's have a look at the third battle and see how we get on in that one. And the last of the replays is on Erlenberg, and it's a standard battle. And again, we've got Vava Das SPG, and he's with his platoon mate Over 69 and Rodo Truck. Now the Hummel was actually based on the Panzer Mark IV, but with Panzer Mark III running gear. Yes, the Germans were very keen to use vehicles which they already had quite a few in mass production, and that Challenger went into very deep water. He almost drowned. They were very keen to use vehicles that were already in existence rather than have to redesign them. And of course the best thing about it was that by mass producing them, they got production of scale, or scale of production, to reduce the cost of these vehicles. So that's why the Nashorn is also based on the same vehicle. AMD 178B's made it into the castle grounds. Normally when this happens, I go to overhead mode to actually see where that AMD 178B is in relation to the fall of shot, because sometimes you can line the shot up to splash him to one side, and looks like he did that because the AMD got stunned. He's changing position just slightly. I rather like that position there where there's about three trees together, because you can actually fire into the castle grounds, up the main street towards the enemy tanks that come down there, And there's a couple of them there now, right? An SU-152 and a Skoda T25. Unfortunately, that shot misses the 4502A, but he'd still get some splash out of him. Okay, got a Skoda T25. He's almost loaded. Needs the guy just to be stationary. Yep, that's nice. Right on target. 196 hit points. Very thin armour on the Skoda. Well worth hitting that guy. The P43 Biz has got a 90mm gun. That also makes him a primary target. Over in the castle, we can see a KV-2's actually made his way in there. That's a long drive for the KV-2. He's fully loaded. Rounds out. Fires around in. Oh, beautiful. He actually moved forward just as he fired, which meant that the shell hit the rear of the vehicle rather than the front. Always worth trying to set the vehicle alight. If you can hit the engine, you can probably disable him for a short while and potentially set light to him. Okay, we've got a Jackson. This one's over the buildings, but he just moves too close to them for him to shoot, but he might go for that corner. Rounds out. Oh no, didn't have enough lead, and the shell fell before the behind the Jackson. Again, another 90mm tank destroyer, or rather another enemy tank with 90mm, which makes them fearsome, well, quite dangerous, because they've got good penetration, and of course they've got a fast fire rate. Rounds out the Jackson. A near miss for 148, but he does get some stun assist. This is where the fast reload on the stock barreled Hummel becomes really useful, and there's a lot of enemy tanks in that area. So he's going to go for the SU-152. He's trying to hit as many enemy tanks as he can, and he gets a direct hit. But the reason he's actually trying to hit as many as he can, because the more enemy tanks you hit, the more chance you've got of getting a Confederate. And of course, if you get a Confederate medal, that is a battle hero medal, which would entitle you to get courageous resistance if your team loses. He fires a quick round there and no damage, but he did stun one of the enemy tanks. A T-43, was it? No, not the T-43. I think that's what he was aiming for, the T-43. Now, can he get another shot into that guy's rear? He's showing us his rear. Rounds out. Again, stuns him, but doesn't do any damage. Okay, once you've got that rear of that vehicle to sight. Oh, the Tiger P's overextending himself. There's that SU-152 he hit earlier in the game. Fires around in at him, splashes him. You notice how he's moving backwards between shots to ensure that he can't be counter-batteried. Okay, the SU-152 got wiped out, and the T-43 just got derped by Rodo Truck, his platoon mate. Going for the T-29 round. No damage. How weird. I wonder if that shell actually hit one of the buildings that was obstructing the enemy. Could have been that he hit that tower instead. We're 2 tanks up on the enemy at the moment. We're challenging their cap area as well. But there's a lovely direct hit to wipe out the Jackson. The enemy's in a lot of trouble now because they've only got 4 enemy vehicles left. 5 enemy vehicles left. We're going for the M44. We're not fully loaded, but before we can shoot, he's gone. The T-29 looks like he's turning round to go back to his own cap area to try and help him. Vava fires around in and it lands alongside the T-29. There's no enemy tanks in this area now, so he can push forward to get closer to them. Oh, enemy Arty's been spotted. Now, he's a very, very slow Arty. The SU-114-2. SU-14-2. Not SU-114-2. I can see that Baba does SPG scrolls out every time he comes out of aim view. Might be but much easier to actually do the little trick with the control button and the mini-map. Saves you having to scroll out each time. But the Su-14-2 goes down whilst he was stunned, so he gets the stun assist off that one. T-29 managed to make it back near the cap area, but he's now having to engage and is just being taken out of the game by the Wizzy 131 GFT. And that's it. It's all over. He's done it. It was a victory. So let's have a look at the end of battle results for the first replay. And if you remember, that was the one on Glacier with Talon 1958. Well, that was an ace tanker game. Not the first ace tanker he's had. No, that's not his first radio. He's actually had quite a few battles in the Hummel before, and he did very nicely. But that was an ace tanker game. That was the one where there was only two of them at the end versus the enemy Arty and the E25. And they managed to kill the E25 and finally managed to cap out to win the game. Can see that he also managed to get a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 15, and his win rate was 3,754, which is super unicum standard. And he said it was the Nigel spot on Glacier, where it was a spot that I've used quite often. And he did get the highest damage on his team, but not the highest damage overall. That was actually done by the KV-2R on the enemy team. 1,972 hit points to him. 1,966 went to Talon. And that Strip 74 managed to get 1,624, which puts him in, is it 5th place? Yes, because there was a few tanks ahead of him on the damage, but he also got a Nichols medal for taking out all of, or taking out at least 2 medium tanks or tank destroyers that were at least 1 tier higher than him, I think. Or is it 4? No, I think it's 4 actually. 4, yes, 4 tanks or tank destroyers with a medium tank at least 1 tier higher, and that's very difficult to get the Nichols medal. I think it helped that he took out that E25. And when it came to kills, it was the Striv who managed to get 4 kills, 3 kills to the E25, 2 kills to Talon. But when Talon managed to get the highest base XP in the game, he was the only one to get over 1,000, 1,075, 987 to the Striv, 752 went to the T20. He fired 22 rounds, got 8 direct hits, 15 penetrations, damage of 1,966, of which 1,820 were at more than 300 meters. So there was some close shots in that game. He earned 103,117 credits from the game because he got 65,000 mission completion and 25 bonds as well for completing another mission. He took away 4,032 XP because he got a ×2 and he also got a mission completion reward as well. So really good game for the first replay, an ace tanker. The second replay, that was the Fjords, Vava das SPGs. Got a second class tanker and a bruiser medal, but didn't pick up any rewards, but he did get some nice shots with some interesting positions. And yes, so definitely worth investigating those positions if you want to get decent shots on maybe the heavy tank alley or on the western pass. Might be worthwhile looking at that. When it came to damage, he didn't get the highest on his team. He's actually 4th on his team, but quite a way down the table. Actually, I think it was he 5th. He was actually, there was 1 enemy tank, so he was actually 5th place. So 1 enemy tank above him and the CS44. But when it came to kills, he only got the 1 kill. But when it came to base XP, we can see he's a little further up the table, 775, which puts him 4th overall. But it was just a very good and interesting game. 16 shots fired, 4 direct hits, 17 penetrations, damage of 1,385 hit points, and all of it at more than 300 meters. He earned 24,578 on a standard free-to-play account, and he earned 2,287 XP on a ×2 with a mission completion. And so a fairly good game for Vava das SPGs, but it was the next game on Erlenberg, which was a humdinger because that one was a 3rd mark of excellence. He's finally managed to 3 mark the Hummel. He got a 2nd class tanker on that one, bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits, got 14, and because he hit so many of the enemy, he got a Confederate medal for hitting at least 6 enemy tanks that were taken down by other teammates afterwards. So yes, he earns the medal for helping his teammates to take those guys down. Didn't get the highest damage in the game, 1,143, but he is very consistent at getting damage. That's how he's managed to get the 3rd mark. He didn't get the highest number of kills either, mid-table with just one. Well, showing in mid-table there. When it came to base XP, he's a little higher. 794 puts him third overall on XP for that game. But the fact is that Vavat does SPGs is very, very consistent on all his Arties. He practices, and that's how he managed to get such consistent results. And that's why he's got third marks on his Arty. So there you go, that was the detail. Let's have a look at detail. 15 shots fired, 4 direct hits, 14 penetrations, damage of 1,143 in this one, all of it at more than 300 meters. On a premium count this time he earned 38,856 credits, and he also took away 4,442 XP after completing a mission payout of 2,953. So not bad at all. A fairly quick game, but it was a third mark of excellence, very much worthwhile, and shows that Vava does SPGs really knows how to handle a Hummel. And that's the end of the Hummel battles. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below because it feeds the algorithm.
Feed me Seymour. Feed me all night long.
And thanks for watching.